Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bad for Your Health Entertainment. I am Tom, and joining me tonight is the lovely Marilyn Knapp, best known for her role in Alone, and can be seen in the upcoming feature, The Forest Through the Trees, with writer and director Jason Pitts. Marilyn, how are you tonight?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And joining us once again is Mr. James Pascoe, a comic book artist and art restorer, the number one art restorator in the business. James is best known for his comic runs at DC Comics with Azrael, Titans, Legion, and Batman Punisher, Lake of Fire. James, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me again.
As always, I appreciate you two coming on talking about old movies, and this is going to be a good one. Tonight, we're talking about the 1944 motion picture from RKO, A Night of Adventure. Perhaps the title is a little misleading, perhaps, but we'll get into that as this episode carries on. A Night of Adventure is a feature directed by Gordon Douglas, starring Tom Conway and Audrey Long, Edward Brophy, and was based off a play called Hat, Coat, and Glove by Wilhelm Speyer. The 1944 movie came out on June 2nd, and it's one of the classic RKO pictures where it's just an assembly line of movies. Tom Conway is a fantastic actor. We've talked about him, and you'll see more of those episodes coming up. But James, I am going to start with you about this particular movie, A Night of Adventure. You are not keen or familiar with Tom Conway unless it was Cat People, which will be the next episode aired on the West Springfield Public Access Channel. But first off, what were your first impressions of A Night of Adventure?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was when I saw that fantastic, this is an RKO radio picture opening, because every time I see that, it makes me feel good. I know there's going to be something worth watching when I see that.
Yeah.
So that was, the initial feeling. I had not seen this movie before, so just based on the title, I was thinking, well, is this kind of noirish? Is this going to be a dark thriller? What lies in store for me? And about 10 minutes into the movie, maybe a little more than 10 minutes, but the scene where, actually it's the opening scene now that I think about it, where the married couple meet in the nightclub, but they pretend like they're strangers. And then we realize, oh, they're actually married. And my first thought was, well, is this going to be kind of like The Thin Man?
Wow.
And, I thought, well, that's an ambitious thing to take on, because I think those movies are great. But soon I discovered, no, it was not going to be like The Thin Man. They did not have the kind of humor that they had in those movies. And it was really going to be more of a courtroom drama. And so once I stopped thinking about, well, comparing it to The Thin Man, then I could sort of analyze the movie for its own merits. And I think it was an interesting movie on its own merits.
I agree. I think it's actually in the pantheon of Tom Conway's movies. Tom Conway is the older brother of Hollywood icon George Sanders. And without giving a big history, you could see, the resemblance is uncanny, especially when they stand next to each other. They only starred in two movies together. They did The Falcon's Brother and The Scoundrel, if memory serves me correct. I may be butchering the title. But yeah, there's just a clear similarity between Sanders and Conway. And Tom Conway was born Thomas Charles Sanders, but he lost a bet and changed his stage name to Conway.
Wow.
But Tom Conway was a steady contract player at RKO from 1941, 2-ish, all the way till 1946, cranking out pictures like you read about, from The Falcon's Brother to essentially The Falcon's Adventure, which was his last one. 10 Falcon pictures. You got Night of Adventure thrown in there, 2 O'Clock Courage, which was a movie I fell in love with in my recent watching. We'll get to that later. But Conway is a fantastic lead in these B pictures. Marilyn, what was your first impression of Night of Adventure? You had never seen this?
No, I hadn't. So just seeing the, the very first opening scene, woman sitting there, man comes up, starts talking. I'm like, I bet they're married. And so to me, it made me think, oh, this is going to be playful. This is going to be like a little fun. It's not going to be some adventure movie or
It wasn't.
whatever.
It
No.
was not a night of adventure.
No. There was, little driving scene and all that kind of stuff, but not, I mean, no, it was playful, and it was fun, and that's what I took from that opening scene is this is going to be a little bit different than I thought too.
Mm-hmm.
It started off very similar to a lot of the Falcon movies or similar RKO movies. Conway is his usual charming, suave, debonair self, and that pencil thin mustache. He approaches the woman, and Audrey Long, who was a fantastic actor. She retired from show business in the late 40s. She was actually married to Leslie. I'm going to butcher his last name. Catharis. It's the gentleman who wrote the books for The Saint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was married to him, and obviously George Sanders played the Saint, as did Tom Conway on the radio. He replaced Vincent Price back in 1951 for a brief period of time. Very lovely woman. But yeah, it was a very playful movie. I didn't think this was going to be dark and film noirish, and a little noirish, but a little bit. But I didn't expect it to be double identity or out of the past.
No. If it would have been a noir movie, then he probably would have framed his wife for the murder or something.
Yeah, to compare it to Out of the Past would have been playing different games as the movie went along, because I think Out of the Past is a fantastic movie, but we're talking Night of Adventure. Some familiar faces in it. The lovely Jean Brooks, and I from The Seventh Victim, minus that bowl cut wig.
Right.
That wig, man, it's Seventh Victim. That is still that comes up as a reoccurring joke, not just among film buffs, but among you and I, Marilyn. That bowl cut Mo Howard wig. In this movie, you see her in her full, just normal self, and she is a very beautiful woman. She had a tragic ending herself, like most Hollywood personalities back in the golden age. She had a drinking problem similar to Tom Conway.
Mm.
And she died very, very young. But I usually, when I see Conway as this debonair, suave self, you think he's either a detective or a psychiatrist, but then all of a sudden, lawyer, and he's one of the hottest lawyers in the country, a defense attorney. So I was like, oh, he's going to get everybody. He's going to save the day. He's the lead. But I do enjoy the chemistry between Conway and Long. And he's a man who is very married to his job. He takes it. His job was clearly number one to him.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel bad for him when she leaves.
No, you understood.
You understand it completely, James. You want to run with that? You see it clear as day.
Yeah, and that was probably the moment when I realized, okay, this is not the Thin Man, because their marital relationship was totally different from the couple in this movie. To me, they didn't really have so much of the playfulness that William Powell and Myrna Loy did.
No.
It was more serious. And I actually thought that her decision to leave because he wasn't paying enough attention to her was it was a pretty dramatic plot twist for 1944. That kind of came out of left field a little bit for me, and I was like, well, they're taking a chance here, back in those days to portray a woman who's saying, I'm not getting enough out of this, I'm out of here. You didn't see that a lot.
No, it was very taboo, especially amongst the producers code, because they would never want to do anything that upset the religious folks of that era.
Right.
Marilyn, what were your thoughts on the first act, where we see Tom Conway's Mark Latham as a hot hot defense attorney who is in a marriage that, I don't want to say of convenience, but it's clearly his marriage is second to him. He may have loved her at some point, but he blows her off on her birthday of all days.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. I thought, oh man, she's serious. She's gonna leave you. You know, when
Yeah.
she says, well, I may not be here when you come back. I went, mm-hmm.
Be there.
Okay.
Girl. Yeah, it
But
was pretty awful. Hey, what was the guy's name? Steve?
Oh,
Steve,
Steve
good old
was
Edward
Steve, you go
Brophy.
tell her, Steve, you stay with her, make her laugh, you know. I'm
right.
like, nope.
He thought so highly of himself that nothing would ever go wrong.
Right.
That's
Right.
just my interpretation of his character.
Yeah.
He's used to winning.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to lose too. That's the thing.
No, he really doesn't. You know, and there was one line where he finally got back from his trip to Washington, D.C., only to have Steve tell him, you know, your wife is gone. And the first thing he says is, oh,
she
I guess
meant
she
it.
was serious.
He didn't think she would actually leave. He was like,
He didn't think
was?
she would do it.
No.
Right.
Well, that's funny because of the way he ends up leaving her. She was like, I'm not going to be here, Steve. Oh, can we just forget about this and move on? Well, that's a good girl.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. That's a good girl. Uh-huh.
That's a good girl.
I
Right.
hate,
Oh, yeah.
I even wrote that down right here. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad you wrote it down because Marilyn, when you and I have done other film reviews, you take the extensive notes. I took extensive notes on this one too. But do you still watch movies twice if you're going to review them on any format
Yeah.
or whatever? Once as an actress and the other as a fan.
Yeah, the first time is always just taking it in. Although I will take notes, especially if something strikes me. But then the second time, it'll be a little bit more, you know, critical or, you know, thinking about it more as an actress or just even looking at it compared to, I guess what I do is I look at it and I go, no, you shouldn't do that. You should do that. What are you doing? And I'll actually talk to the TV about it.
You look at it from a creative standpoint, almost on like how you would convey the story.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a sign of a creative person, right, James?
Yeah, I found myself doing a little bit of that too. Every time he would do something stupid, particularly
which
when it
was a
came
lot.
to her, I would be like, "Why are you doing that? Why are you saying that?" You know, there was one point where he was deliberately withholding the knowledge from her that he had been, you know, in the guy's hotel room, and that he knew how she died, and he knew all of this, but he was deliberately not telling her that he knew. And I'm like, that's the way to get the relationship back together. You know,
He wasn't
essentially lying to her.
he wasn't just withholding that from her. He was withholding that from the court of law.
Right. Oh yeah. And but that's a different thing. You know, I sort of understand why he did it or why he chose to do that. But you know, here he is trying so hard to get the marriage back together again. So what does he do? First thing,
Lie.
he doesn't tell her the truth, and he essentially lies to her, and that's not going to work.
No, but I do like the performance of the Benny Soto character, who is the character that ends up luring him away from her because he's the star, the missing witness in the Rand case, and
Yeah.
he ends up doing the, you know, they have this little classic 1940s car chase where it's stock footage, you know, behind the projector.
Yes.
Get behind, slam on the brakes, and that always makes me smile because that's straight out of the movie serials and films of that time. You know, today it could be CGI, and you know, you'd shut down a freeway for 4 hours each day to get the shot right. But back then, it was probably just done on the RKO back lot or some little side street up in the mountains there. But I liked how Benny Soto then had to go to his boss, and the boss is like, it's either going to be you or Latham. So you take care of Latham. And then after that scene, I was kind of like, oh, here comes the adventure. You know, it's going to be this like cat and mouse kind of lawyer outsmarting, not like the game, like with Michael Douglas or anything, just sort of like what's going to
Right.
happen, something weird like that. But the only sense of adventure I ever got from the movie was after she leaves and Mark and Steve are at the bar. And Marilyn, I don't know if you picked up on this. I picked up on it right away. The old double joke. That was from the Falcon's Adventure when they're sitting at the. Oh, I picked up on that.
Yeah.
Double. And the joke, James, is in the 1946 RKO movie, The Falcon's Adventure, with Tom Conway and Edward Brophy as his lackey, Goldie. They're on a train. I'm trying to remember the exact scene. They're in a train, and the bartender says, "What will you have?" And the Falcon says, "Bourbon and water, please." And Edward Brophy's character says, "Make mine a double." And everyone kind of turns and looks, and they're like, "Yeah, they're both for me." So I didn't know that was a recycled RKO gag. Perhaps maybe it wasn't done in another movie, but it was in this movie with the two leads.
Yeah.
So I kind of chuckled when I saw that. Nice to see that they pay homage to themselves. And I'm sure a gentleman having a double back in the day was quite funny. I think it would still be funny. But during the scene where they see Tony Claire with Erica, and you actually see Mark's character dejected. Hey, boss, ain't you going to go after him? I don't know if I have the right to.
Right.
And Steve's
Maybe
the one that figures.
Starting to dawn.
Yeah. And Steve's the one that figures out that it's an artist by simply going to the coat woman.
The coach,
Yeah.
right.
The coach said,
Yeah.
"Hey, isn't that the second baseman?"
Right.
No. Yeah, I thought that was cute. Steve's always Edward Brophy's characters in some of these movies looks like not the brains, but definitely the one who does the heavy lifting.
Right.
Fine actor too. I saw him in several Hugh Beaumont B movies from the early 50s, but those are another stories for another day. But then you meet. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was just going to say the Steve character was actually one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Same.
I found him to the Steve.
Yeah, I loved Steve.
Yeah, I found him to be very amusing and engaging throughout the movie.
Yeah.
He brought the comedic, some of the lightness to the film.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
it needed that. It really needed that.
Because if it didn't have that, it would have been boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought once it became a courtroom drama, one of the interesting things to me that kept my attention going was that our lawyer friend, who is so cocky about his abilities in the courtroom, here he is trying to get his wife's boyfriend off on the murder rap, but all the while knowing he was the one in the dead woman's, or in the artist's apartment where the dead woman was killed. And he's so cocky, he's so confident in his abilities. He tries on that glove. He tries on the coat and the hat and says, "Could it have been me you saw?" I mean, he was taking massive risks in the courtroom, but it just tells you something about his character. He believed that he could pull it off, and he did.
And he did.
Yeah.
And his wife was okay with it.
And she was okay with it. They saved Tony.
That part I didn't like. Because
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could follow up on this, Marilyn. But her character that they established throughout the movie, to me, is not the kind of character where she would just say, "Oh well, everything's all right, honey. Let's go back home now."
Right.
She would have been the one to stop him from going in for a kiss, I feel like, at the very end. Because one of my issues with the movie is its length. Quite frankly, I feel like it ends before there's any real resolution at the end with some of these other characters. When he says, "Oh, I'll have Benny Soto sweating so much that he'll tell me everything about the head boss," and I was like, "Well, I'd like to see that because that'll help what's going on in Washington."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. No, there were at least 3 or 4, if not more, significant plot points where at the end of the movie they just kind of wrapped them all up by having him say, "Oh, I'll take care of it."
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll take care of everything.
Yeah.
And then end of movie. I could have used a little more than that.
I could have used a little more of the movie to kind of. I would have liked to have seen the main baddie take the fall, because
Right.
Benny
Yeah.
Soto was just a lackey
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
who was going to be
He
sweating
was
in
just
court
trying
for
to save his own
perjury.
skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saving his own skin almost at the cost of his own skin by lying in the court
Yeah,
or
and I'm not
trying to
sure.
cover himself.
Right.
I'm not sure that character was going to be around very long to face a perjury charge. I think the bad guy would probably.
No,
he
and
would-
sad. He was a fine actor, Russell Hopton, and tragically, he died not too long after this movie, and I could not find a cause of death, which I was kind of curious about when I went through everyone's sort of IMDb, and
Hmm.
it was like, huh, he passed away at a tender young age of 45.
Mhm.
But I think what makes it interesting from a courtroom drama, after Mark goes to Tony Claire's apartment, we actually meet Tony's wife, played by the lovely Jean Brooks, and there is a struggle because she is so drunk, which is ironic, and she has a gun. Mark is being tailed by Benny because Benny has to cover his tail with the main boss, and a struggle breaks out for the gun because Mark obviously doesn't want Tony dead or anything to happen to his wife. And there's this little struggle, the classic 1940s. No, 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 no. All right. And then the gun goes off accidentally, and Gene Brooks's character is killed. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of dramatic. That kind of like, and then just kind of falls over. But
Right.
it then shifts to the courtroom drama because the husband, Tony Claire, is the prime suspect. And as you said, James, Mark knows he's the man. He could easily get him off of the murder charges, but he knows that there's a cat and mouse game because of the way the apartment was left. And that was another one, as you said, a key point. No, we didn't know that as a viewer that he knew that.
Not till the very end, yeah.
Not until the very end where they tie up all the loose ends. But that would have been nice to know because we would have known he had an ace up his sleeve.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Although, you could make the case that our not knowing increased the amount of tension and mystery until the very end, because I know I was thinking, well, what the heck is he up to? When during the courtroom part of the movie, is he trying to get the boyfriend actually to be convicted so that he has free reign back with his wife? Or is he trying to get the boyfriend actually acquitted? And if so, how is he going to do that and not hang himself? Because
I think he was going for it on the fly. He was going to save himself first and foremost, I think. But when he had a chance, when he saw Benny Soto, he said, "I've got a chance here to connect all the dots and get everyone." The actor who I really feel like carries the courtroom drama is the District Attorney Branson character, because he's the one handling a lot of the dialogue with the acting. And say what you want about this movie, I thought it was well acted.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone played their part to a T.
Yeah.
Including the nightclub singer.
Oh, I loved her.
Oh yeah,
it was really my favorite.
She was
fantastic.
Yeah.
She was fun, and
she stole the whole courtroom scene.
She did.
The whole courtroom scene was awesome. She stole the show in that scene. Well, do you swear? I let it slip every once in a while.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hold this.
And they would show every guy on the jury laughing, and then there was that one older woman in the jury who was very stern looking, and every time the guy next to her would laugh, she would give him those evil eyes.
I know.
Right.
I was like, are they married?
Right. Right.
You see that gag in some of the Three Stooges ones. I know that was done in Disorder in the Court, one of the famous Stooges shorts, but you could turn a courtroom drama into funny, soft, light comedy with that. And I feel like this movie definitely needed that light-hearted comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge, the judge was just so not entertained by any of it.
No.
Yeah.
But as the courtroom progresses, it does get a little interesting with the coat and the gloves and all that. Well, how long have you worked in the glove industry? Oh, I've worked in the glove industry for 20 years. It fits it fits Tony Claire like a glove. And we have established that he does not drive a car. That is going to be established. It's like,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that glove
Yeah.
expert was kind of ridiculous because it's like, well, is he the only person, in the United States that the glove fits?
yeah,
And
he's the only one in the city that they could get. Why, this is a common glove. You can get this at any department store. I make the
right,
specialty gloves. I'm like, okay. I don't know how the play is. I would be very curious to read the original play, Hat, Coat, and Glove, just to see if there were these lighthearted comedic bits.
hmm
Right.
You gotta love these older movies that tell a story, a condensed story in about an hour. James, you had said to me in message that you were surprised at the length of this movie. What was it about the length that surprised you? Was it about the story beats, how you wanted more, or was it just how you were like, oh, that was only 61 minutes?
Well, initially I was surprised that the movie was so short, and I sort of forgot about, how they made a lot of shorter movies during that time period. So it caught me a little bit off guard that they wrapped everything up so quickly. And I'm like, oh wait, it's over already? Um,
Yeah.
and like we discussed previously, I could have used a little bit more of the backstory being wrapped up at the end. Um, but one thing I will say for the brevity of the film is that I liked the unusually fast pacing for movies of that era.
Same.
Uh, so often, I find myself watching not just movies of that era, but TV shows from like the 70s or 80s, and the pacing is so different than we're accustomed to today. There'll be like that chase scene with the cars.
Yeah.
If that would have been a TV show in the 70s, that chase scene would have lasted about 3.5 minutes, and the camera would show the first driver, and then they'd show the second driver, and then back to the first driver and back to the second driver, and we're still driving.
Establishing shots, yeah.
Right. But in this movie, everything just clicked right along, very quickly, and that kept my interest in the movie definitely at a higher level.
Do you think a
Appreciate
lot
it.
of that? Do you think a lot of that is prevalent today, though? Like, let's say if this was remade today, they would be stretched to a 2 hour, 15-minute movie. The car chase would be that. The courtroom drama would be like its own episode. I just feel like that, like you said, the pacing, the fast-paced nature. They shot it very quickly, probably on 18 days. Today, it would probably be, you know, a 3-month shoot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marilyn, what do you
Yeah.
think about
No,
the pacing of this picture?
Um, I thought it was fine. I think because in the beginning I could tell, okay, this is going to be fun. I mean, this is going to be, you know, playful, and so having it move on and, pretty quick, and just, Tom Conway being Tom Conway
Tom Conway.
is, yeah. And the the quick, interesting aspects about him leaving his glove, which irritated me so. And but it was a lot of fun. I think that it clipped along like it did. But I do agree that I would like, because at the end when he was like, "Well, I'll take care of it,"
Yeah.
it'll be fine, and then we'll get all those crooked politicians or whatever. And but I was like, wait a minute, what about the bad guy over there? I was like,
right.
okay, well, it's Tom Conway, so we just have to trust him. You know,
He
he'll
had a
take
way
care of
about
it.
it.
Yeah,
Was he
don't worry about it. Yeah,
was he limited, Marilyn, in your opinion?
Limited as far as what he
As
could actually
as,
do.
as an actor.
Yes, yeah. But you know what? I hope that he had fun with it too. And as long as you're there and having fun and, just go with it and
Working,
working and
working.
working, but having a good time at the same time. If he was doing that, I think that's fine. Yeah.
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 A lot of the Tom Conway movies at RKO, he's the same self-confident, debonair,
Arrogant.
suave. I mean, it's the Tom Conway. It's the Tom Conway formula, and there's nothing wrong with it. I've grown to love it as I've gotten a little bit older. Where I was like, maybe when I was younger, I wouldn't have appreciated it, but now it's sort of like this guy kicked it into another gear when he had to. And I love the mustache. I always love how you mentioned the pencil thin
I know.
mustache.
And
It's
then
just perfect.
it is perfect. It's perfectly him. But in this movie, when the reporters were around, I
Yeah.
kept going, "Oh, that guy's got the same mustache. That guy's got the same mustache," And I know it's like,
Yes.
the era,
The
Right.
hair, Tony.
style, everything. Yeah.
There's one scene where Tony, Claire, and Mark are sitting next to each other, and I'm like, they look like brothers in a way,
It
or
could be.
cousins. The hair and the face, just the
Yeah.
look, that 1940s
Right.
gentleman
Right.
look.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one
Would
thing
it
that
be?
I love about these films so much is the look of
Yeah.
people. They're so stylish. They're so wow. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful. And I kept looking at the hats, like her hats, and they were all like big, or the what is that, the pillbox, what is that called?
No, the
I don't
pillbox
know.
hats. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the big one, I was just like,
Hmm.
oh, I would love to wear stuff like that.
Well, only the faces really change in some of the movies with the storytelling. It's just the names, the story, and the wardrobe,
Wardrobe, yep, yep.
and they
Yeah.
Who
always
was
do. Go ahead,
wasn't
James.
there a famous? Sorry, wasn't there a famous wardrobe person named Edith Head? Am I remembering her
Oh my gosh, she
correctly?
is the ultimate costumer ever. She
Yeah.
did like all of the like Hitchcock stuff and
Right. Right.
anything with Audrey Hepburn in it. And way back then, I just every time her name splashed across the screen, I went, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
It's gonna look good. Edith
It's
Head.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's
The
amazing.
one scene kind of made me laugh for a minute though when Tom Conway found out where his wife was living in her new place, and he just drops in on her, and she answers the door, and she's got the hat and the dress and the
She's
heels.
dressed. Yeah.
She looks
That's
like
the
she's going to
nice.
the opera, but she's just hanging around the house.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
I thought it was funny how the character tried to, I'm going to listen to you and I will devote all my attention to you. And as he sits down, he goes, "What's this?" And she starts talking, and he's like, "Oh,
I know.
the buffalo cap." And how
He
many
didn't
nights did, go ahead, Marilyn.
he didn't understand any of it, and he had
No,
no
No,
interest in it really. And you
no,
could
no.
just tell that his eyes glazed over, and
Yeah, he made an attempt.
he tried. And how many
Yeah,
nights do you think she sat there listening to him talking about, well, he's going to get off on this case or this technicality and all that? Well, that's fine, dear. Things like that.
Right.
right,
I
right.
don't want that
Your
June,
head.
just
Yeah.
nodding her head, that almost June Cleaver mentality. But
Yes,
I enjoy the movie. I enjoy the simpleness of it. I enjoy how
Yeah.
the fast paced nature of it being made. I enjoy these B pictures.
Yeah, they're fun. I
Would you
enjoy.
I,
guys think would you guys think that it would be fair at all to say that Tom Conway, as far as the debonair, dashing sort of character, is kind of the B movie version of George Sanders? Like, is George Sanders just more debonair, more
yes,
dashing, more sophisticated? I get that feeling.
100%.
He's
I
Yeah,
I think
Conway is.
George was a fantastic actor, as he rightfully was, winning the Academy Award in 1951 with All About Eve. but I just think he had a dryness and a wit about him.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was it was Jane Randolph who said Tom is as warm and friendly as George as is cool and debonair.
Mm.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think Tom was the B movie George Sanders, and there are some movies I've seen with Tom Conway that I don't think George could have done, given his strengths or lack thereof.
Yeah. Well, in one of our previous episodes, Tom, we talked about the Kinks song, "Celluloid Heroes," and
Went and
in that,
listened to it after you told me about it.
oh, did you? Well,
I
you may
did.
remember that there's a lyric in that song that goes, "If you covered him with garbage, George Sanders would still have style," and it's so true.
He had a way about him, and not many
Yeah,
people, male or female, could carry that way. And George Sanders, for better or for worse, he carried that. He had that way about him.
he did.
I'm reading his autobiography, actually, right now.
Interesting.
It's not a page turner like I thought it would be, but it's a page turner regardless because of how he approached life. He obviously took his own life in 1972. But he just, as I just said, he had a way about him. Perhaps if
did.
we review a George Sanders movie in the future, anyone I'll watch, even if it's all about Eve, quite frankly, the movie where he won the Academy Award. You All About Eve? Put it in the list.
There you go.
All About Eve. And that
Can't go
when he
wrong
won
with that.
and when he won the Academy Award for that, this wasn't the era of big time speeches or anything like that. He just simply took the Academy Award, bowed, and went off the stage.
How funny.
Classic.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Classic.
Wow.
None of that.
He didn't need to make a speech. You know, he had a presence.
Exactly.
It's like, what was that line from where Nora Desmond says, "We didn't need dialogue. We had faces," or something like that.
We had, I heard Steve McQueen say that about some of his movies, the great iconic Steve McQueen, where I forget what movie it was. I think it was Sand Pebbles or Bullet. They had scenes written where Frank Bullitt would say something, and he would look at it and he just simply said, "I'll say it with my face.
Yeah.
I'll say it with my eyes. I'll listen with my eyes."
Right.
Today you would actually need all that explanation, and I just feel like there's too much. Less is more. Put that on my tombstone. I really feel like less is more is one of the mantras I live by.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing will kill a picture faster than too much exposition, right?
Exactly. And I feel like these movies, like Night of Adventure, it's the perfect amount. And even if it's not a great movie, I would not say this is like a fan. This should not have won the Academy Award or anything like that, or whatever. Shout out to the gentleman to the channel that put it on YouTube, because that's the only way to find this movie. Hollywood Classic Movies. Thank you. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you. Subscribe to that channel. Actually, after watching this movie, I was like, "Ooh, they've got some good stuff on this channel." I'll go down the rabbit hole one of these days. But yeah, nothing kills a movie or anything. Marilyn, you know it from the film world. James, you know it from the comic book world and the art restaurant. You tell me you've seen comic books that have just the whole speech, have like these huge soliloquies while you're trying to ink and draw it, and you're just like, well, how the hell am I going to do this?
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to, make stuff up as you go along that'll fit, because there have been certain writers over the decades that, especially earlier in their careers, thought they were writing a novel, or maybe they wanted to write a novel, but it was only a comic book. And like you say, you'd have a panel like that, and that much of it would be words. it is, as has been said many times, a visual medium.
Yeah, and you're trying to somehow get Batman's cowl, and it's like, the thought bubbles or whatever, the
Right.
cowl's gone in this page. It's just
Right. Right. Exactly.
But overall, Marilyn, how would you rank A Night of Adventure? Scale of 1 to 4. How everyone says 1 to 10, but it's like I feel like 1 to 10 is just like there's more room for interpretation. Or just how would you rank it on a grading scale? I give it a B. A B is a B.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it because it was fun. And 2.5.
Fair.
James?
Is that fair?
2.5.
Okay.
In the I think it was the 80s, there's a local newspaper here called the San Francisco Chronicle, and they used to have a movie review section every Sunday, and they didn't use stars or anything like that. They used a graphic of a little man sitting in a movie theater seat, and if the little man is jumping out of his seat, then it's like a 5-star movie. Or if the man is just kind of sitting there placidly, maybe it's a 3 out of 5. And sometimes the seat is just empty, and that's a horrible. So if I was using the little man technique, I think I would probably say he was sitting there, but with a smile on his face.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
there
I
are
like
some
that.
parts of the movie that I liked a lot.
Yeah.
But there were some parts of the movie that I thought we could really have used some fixing up. So yeah, maybe 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, 2.5, 3. It won't change your world. Good to talk about, good to have a good laugh, but it
Yeah.
didn't rock my world by any stretch.
No, and it was only an hour, so
Like an episode of television, those B movies of the 40s just turned into the television process overnight, and it's, I love the television of the 50s, but I think this would have made a good like TV episode, TV movie, movie of the week type.
Yeah.
It had that flair to it.
Yeah, and characters like the Steve character, he's sort of the nutty sidekick to a lot of TV shows, right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of characters like him in TV shows.
And a lot of
fun.
those writers and directors of the 70s and the 80s had to get inspired by the projects of the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Sure.
So I could see how this left its impact on. I'm not saying it's a trailblazer, but it was a rock along the trail.
Right. That's perfect.
Right.
But that's my thumbnail. Like, where'd you pull that one out of, man? Sorry. But listen, we're not going to part ways just yet. But I got to know, you two have been so gracious doing these film reviews. We did They Live about a month ago, and Marilyn, we did The Brain That Would Not Die. I don't want to keep picking. The Brain That Would Not Die. I saw it actually on a bargain DVD. I did. I saw it, and I was like, it looked like it was made from a printer in 1983. It was like just so compressed, like where like the image was just. It didn't look good. It was the one of the woman with the head kind of like with the smile, that sadistic smile. But we have all about Eve. I'll ask Marilyn, what's one movie you'd like to review again going forward? Is there one that like just screams I want to talk about it? Because I do like your posts on your social media that you watch.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
I follow both of you.
Actually, there's a whole bunch. But truth be known, I'd love to do my favorite movie in the whole world,
And that
and
is
Jaws.
Jaws.
Yeah.
I did it a couple of years ago.
Old enough though. Oh, did you?
I
Okay.
did. I don't mind
That's
doing
all
it
right.
again if that was the question.
That's my favorite movie. I could talk about that all night long.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know. I can't help it. It's a little bit of everything, it's horror, it's adventure, it's comedy. There's even a little romance thrown in it. with
A
Brody's
little bit.
in him, just a tiny
It's
bit.
just a sliver of romance in that movie.
Right. So yeah, it's something. I was 15 years old when I saw it, and it made such an impression on me. And every time I come across it, I watch it every time. Yeah, without
James,
fail.
is there a movie you'd like to revisit? Your They Live
Wow.
suggestion, I truly
I
loved.
love that too. Yeah.
Loved They Live.
Mhm.
Well, that's now the pressure's on. You know, I like so many different kinds of movies that are so unique from one another.
Mhm.
It's really hard to just sit here and come up with, one that's like I can't do what Marilyn did and say this is my favorite movie of all time,
I know it's
because there are
hard.
so
It's
many
tough.
that I love it for wildly different reasons. Some of them are really, really good movies, and some of them are really stupid, but I love them anyway.
Yeah.
They
Uh,
resonate with you, and that's what I love about film.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
doesn't matter what it is. The language of film will resonate with you. Will resonate with someone somehow, somewhere.
Mhm.
right. I mean, I can't like see a news story or anything these days without thinking of a movie like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh
Great
yeah.
movie.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's a great movie.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I went through a fairly lengthy uh, process where I was really into zombie movies. And
Really?
yeah, and there aren't too many zombie movies that are like really good movies, but there are a number of them that are really entertaining.
Are
All
you
of them. All
a
of them.
the original Night of the Living Dead?
Not so much. I appreciate it. There are certain scenes that I appreciate about that. Like, wasn't there a scene in that where it took place in a shopping mall, a deserted shopping mall?
That was Dawn